do you know about Hinduism?
Very little, very little. I've just secondhand accounts of tidbits of information. Things like, from what I gather, they have a relatively accurate prediction of when the Earth was created, about 4 billion years or so. So relative to the 6,000 years that the Christians guesstimate, I'd say that that's pretty good. Other than that, I'm very much in the dark. Is it monotheistic? Is it polytheistic? I've heard both. Of the Bhagavad Gita, what even is that? Is that like a Quran? Are there hadiths relative to this? Is that what the Vedas are? Like, I don't know anything really about what really is Hinduism. So I'm very excited to have this. This is gonna be a treat.
Yeah, and to be honest, I know very little myself, so that's why I'm really excited for the next guest. Tonight, we are going to be interviewing an ex-Hindu, current atheist, and his name is Ravi. He is originally from India, and I believe he lives in the United States now, and he runs a podcast called Ex-Hindu Atheist Podcast, coincidentally. And on the podcast, he discusses his views on religion, Hinduism, atheism, secularism, and a whole bunch of other things. So without further ado, here is Ravi. Welcome to Secular Soapbox.
Hey guys. Hey, Bryce, K-lub. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, I did get all of that correct, right? You are originally from India?
Correct, yes.
Okay. And I gather that from your opening podcast. Let me, before we get into the podcast, tell us about yourself. And I noticed that your icon is sort of non-illuminated. So it looks like you're choosing to remain anonymous. Is that for safety reasons?
Yes, that is correct. So when I started my podcast, I did not expect it to be a big deal because one of the things I talked about in the first episode of my podcast is that I'm kind of glad that I was born into Hinduism because it is a very tame, very nonviolent religion, which does not have the strong, like the hadith you mentioned, Caleb. There's no set of rules that you have to live by. There are recommendations, which is what the Bhagavad Gita is. It's basically Bhagavad Gita is what Lord Krishna tells Arjuna in the heat of war. He gives a sermon, so to speak, and talks about all things in life, and he gives him a set of philosophies on how to live life. What recommendations on how you can, what is dharma, what is true, what is peace and love, and all that kind of stuff. So there's no there's no Bible-like or Quran-like book. Even though the Bhagavad Gita is our holy book, it is not exactly saying this is how you should live your life or else. So there's no strong rules, and Hindus are generally very peaceful. They mind their own businesses, and that was my original idea, that I would start talking about my own journey from Hinduism to, and I did not even want to call myself an ex-Hindu, because Hinduism is not truly a quote unquote religion. It is a way of life. It is called Sanatana Dharma, which is a set of principles on which you can base your life, recommendations. There's so many different philosophies. In fact, there are 6 major, I believe. Now, let me make this disclaimer. I'm not an expert in Hinduism, okay? I have learned more about my religion in the last 2 years after becoming an atheist than before.
Hey, I can understand that. I think Caleb and I can both understand that, at least from the Christian perspective. But
right. So, listening to Matt Dillahunty, Atheist Experience, all these podcasts, you can constantly hear people saying atheists know more about their religion than the theists, right? You start, but in my case, it's not because of atheism. I started learning a lot more because I wanted to at least sound reasonably educated and not too ignorant when I'm talking about certain things on my podcast. I don't want somebody to go, "Aha, look, you're an idiot. That's not true." So I'm sure there are still a lot of people who will disagree with me, but I at least didn't want to get all the facts wrong. Opinions are different.
So you were saying that you wouldn't even necessarily consider at the very least what you were practicing as Hinduism as a type of religion, and you kind of expounded on a bit of the differences between that and the religion that we in the West may be used to. So is there really the thing that was going through my brain at the time is there no carrot and stick situation? Is there no heaven and hell dilemma that you have to navigate through? Because it sounds like what you were espousing, if you correct me if I'm wrong, is not that at all. It's just hey, here's the facts of the matter, and here's what we recommend how to deal with these facts.
Yeah, it almost sounded like it was a book of advice, the Bhagavad Gita, and not really a book of truths. But maybe you can elaborate on that. It's how many truisms are in the book, and what is it that Hindus actually believe about heaven, hell, life after death, gods,
Right.
etc.
So these are all loose facts in religion, in Hinduism. There's no the religion is not based on being born a sinner. From what little I've learned about Christianity, it's not based on you're born a sinner, you have to spend your life accepting God into your life, and the only way to get into heaven is to accept Jesus Christ. Kind of, there's no such thing. In fact, many of the major schools of philosophy in Hinduism include atheism. So atheism is a part of Hinduism, in that one of the schools of thought is that there is no supernatural being, right? And then there are schools of thought that say God lives within you. You are God. God is within you. Love is God. Which is why you see a lot of Westerners were drawn to the Hare Krishna movement and all these mystics from India in the past, because it is not about something external. It is about finding God within you. So
that sounds similar to Buddhism in some
yes,
ways.
it is very similar in the sense that there's no strong if you don't do this you're going to hell and you're going to burn in hell. There's no hellfire concept. Yeah, there is
So it's already a better religion than the one I'm used to. But
yeah, so that's why in the first episode I started by saying that I'm glad I was born into Hinduism compared to the other stuff that I've heard about, because we didn't go to wars against different countries. We didn't try to go and spread our religion. We didn't forcefully convert people. We didn't so there's a lot of things that go against many of the other monotheistic religions and Abrahamic religions. In that, again, I know, Caleb, you were wondering in the beginning, it is a polytheistic religion. And there's one more word. I'm probably I'm not sure at this point. It is to the point of accepting other gods too. There are a lot of Hindus I know who will actually go to church. They will go to a mosque. They believe that God is God. Every God, it doesn't matter. It's almost like saying we all have our own versions of what is God, and it's fine to accept them. You believe whatever you want to believe, and let me believe, live and let die, kind of thing. And so go ahead.
Well, okay. So what you're describing sounds nice, and what you had said that that was part of the appeal, was that it seems like a very pleasant religion on its face, but at the same time you're also coming to us anonymously, because I'm assuming that the Hindus still give you some flack. So where do you think that flack is coming from, if it's not from the stick of hell and trying to save you, trying to do good for you even if you don't recognize that it's good? Like where's this coming from?
Yeah, it is actually how religion always gets taken over by the most radical of the group, right? Same way Hinduism has been misappropriated over years by the most radical people, and the uh, uh, the flack, so-called, is more than that. I've actually gotten a couple of death threats on Twitter, saying all anti-national people should be hanged, and brutally beaten and physically tortured, kind of thing. And these are all not verified kind of Twitter accounts, random Twitter accounts, right? Nut jobs. But it's not coming from religion, it's coming from their false ideology of having to protect their religion, so to speak.